Does that mean something to you? A guy who, when you were coming up, Adrian Bronner, right, and fighters who were drawing a lot of attention to themselves with their antics and stuff like that were getting the press, and you were just kept your head down and went about your work. And now you're involved at this fight, like the cream rose. Does that mean something to you to have done it the way you did it and now arrive at this moment?
For sure. You know, it means a lot to me because I felt like I never sold my soul to get where I'm at right now. You know, I didn't have to put on a show to get where I'm at now. I was just myself. A lot of people, you know, including my promoters and things like that, say, "Oh, well, you need to do this. You need to talk like this. You need to act like." No, I'm gonna be me, regardless. I'm gonna be me. If you don't like it, then so be it. Y'all not talking about my performances in the ring, which always should matters. You know, is how I perform in the ring. You know, y'all talking about, you know, you don't have no personality. I'm like, okay, well, that's your personal opinion because you want me to act like a clown, you know, and I'm not going to act like no clown. I'm going to act like me, you know. Off the camera, they say, "Oh, well, man, you got a great personality. Why you don't do this on the camera? Why you don't do this?" Man, listen, I'm going to do what I want to do and how I want to do it, and I'm going to do it my way. And so many people criticize me, telling me, "Oh, man, he's a bad businessman," or "He's this, he need to talk this way, he need to sign with PBC, he shouldn't have re-signed with Top Rank," and this and that and this. Look where I'm at right now for doing it my way. Not his way, not his way, not her way, my way.
You, as the kids say, do you as well as you can and then let the chips fall.
Hey everyone, what's up? So they're going pretty hard with all the promotional material finally. You know, they got a free undercard that went down today, although I didn't watch any of the fights. I was too busy. I did catch what I could. Bud had a media session. It's like a 12-minute video. Again, a cold, calculated killer. Is very confident in himself. I was disappointed in the media workouts, though. They didn't include Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. And to be quite honest with you, I mean, the format that it was in, I like the more traditional format where you get to see the guys in their own camp and things like that. And I have to be honest here, I think that's due to Canelo Alvarez, who's been very secretive. And like I said, his whole camp, everything else has been very tightly zipped up for this fight. Everyone, I think, kind of has a feeling that Canelo pretty much is slowed down, but has a very good chance of pulling off this victory. And I think for the most part, not only Team Canelo, but just like you dudes in my comment section, I think you're just trying to save face for the most part. Betting odds are updating by the day, by the hour. If you look at some of the prop bets, you know, for instance, if you see Canelo, any rounds where he's going to outland Bud, they're all in the pluses. So they don't, you know, there's no money going on any of these rounds where, where, you know, they got Canelo outlanding Bud in any of these rounds. You understand? It's just crazy, guys. This is the craziest stuff I done witnessed for a fight of this magnitude. And this gets to my next point. You know, it really goes to show that Canelo's, you know, like I've been telling you guys, he's a propped up fighter. Yeah, the machine has backed him. Yes. You know, he gets to fight guys like Skull for his second undisputed. They were throwing in belts for guys like the fights that they just stripped off of Benavidez, you know, throwing him in there for his fights against guys like Calm Smith, whatever else. You know, he's pretty much had this handed to him on a silver platter, and I think a bunch of you all know. You know what I'm saying? But again, you guys can say whatever you want. The fans can say whatever they want to save face. You think your moral support's going to help Canelo Alvarez out in the ring. I mean, that's cool, man. But the money's telling the truth of this story. You know what I'm saying? It's already kind of given away the fight, in my honest opinion. But Terrence Crawford, again, Max Kellerman, he asked him, like, hey, you know, you guys saw the clip. You saw Adrian Broner and all these other guys. You can throw Errol Spence in there as well, who was you know, Errol Spence grew up in a nice you know, family and whatever else. Him hanging out with Yellow Beezy, the PBC, you can clearly see this type of stuff where they have these guys hanging out with the wrong crew and things like that. We talked about this on the lead up to the Spence fight. You know, all those videos are still up if you guys are interested in looking at that stuff. But, you know, Bud, again, 1 minute you're too boring, the next, you know, Bud needs to promote himself more, things like that. They've always tried to keep this guy, you know, off the chessboard. You know what I'm saying? And what you guys are about to witness is just, you know, it was a battle getting on the board to begin with. Again, there's been plenty of opposition and stumbling blocks littered throughout his career. And just to get on the chessboard was crazy enough and a great accomplishment for Terrence Bud Crawford. Again, we've talked about certain fighters in the past like Danny Garcia. You know, Danny Garcia coming out as an amateur, he was sought out. He was given red carpet treatment. He got to fight a lot of guys, you know, at opportunistic times. You know, Broner was like one of the first prototypes that they were trying to build to the next star. You know, if you guys have been watching boxing this long, he was like number one. Berto was another one, to be quite honest with you, as far as his associations with Al Heyman. Today, you got fighters talking about they haven't talked to Al in like over a year, but, you know, I'm trying to tell you guys this story. But once Danny Garcia, once that failed, you understand, then it moved on to the next guy. You know, believe it or not, Porter was in a position where guys were trying to call him out. At one point, he wasn't trying to give a fighter like Keith Thurman an opportunity. So these guys had played this crab in a bucket game amongst themselves for the longest time. And a bunch of you're only here probably around the Spence saga. You know what I'm saying? You know, Keith Thurman had his opportunity. He was always injury prone and everything else. You know, when you were given opportunities like Manny Pacquiao, you allowed those opportunities to fall through. You know what I'm saying? Especially being a way younger guy, bigger, more in your prime. But Manny Pacquiao, again, threw a wrench into that gearbox, into that narrative. And again, you guys should probably know what went on with Errol Spence. He was the guy now chasing the Keith Thurman. It's always been this crab in a bucket system, and Crawford's never, you know, they wouldn't let Crawford in the bucket. You know what I'm saying? We talked about the Olympics, or him being a top amateur and getting kicked off the Olympic team when he was sucker punched by Gary Russell Jr. Again, just as Crawford told Max there in that clip, where are these dudes at now? You know what I'm saying? Even when it comes to these fighters like Charlo, whatever else, man, where are these dudes at now? You know, as where before it was, you know, 80-20, you know, Spence deserves 80-20. He's a big star and all this nonsense. Bud has fought through a riptide to get to this position, and he's now at the position on the chessboard. All the stumbling blocks, all the opposition is now wasted. You understand? And he's here in an opportunity to take out basically the boxing world's king. You know, it was the same with Spence. Spence kind of prepared him for that process when he was fighting guys like Mean Machine, when guys like Keith Thurman were saying WB no, you know, why don't you go fight Amir Khan? We had people here thinking that they were, you know, matchmakers and promoters on this internet, you know, telling Bud that he should fight Brooke and you need to fight Sean Porter. He did it, you know, if that's what you guys wanted. And then we all saw how you guys denigrated the wins afterwards. It's not going to be any different this Saturday night. But Bud has got it to the point where the boxing world that did not originally want to include him, he's forced his way in. And now, again, he's in a position where it's basically checkmate. You know, and Bud's not the type of guy who's going to let opportunities slip by, like, again, a Keith Thurman who lost to Manny Pacquiao, like a Errol Spence, again, who, you know, oh, I got to pull out of the fight. You know what I'm saying? All this politicking and all this nonsense and all this propping up and smoke and mirrors and theater stuff that's been going on in the sport of boxing. You know, Bud, he just got to his position just by being himself, being a man of merit, not needing to rely on the machine. And it's made him quite a devastating figure in this boxing world today. And, you know, we go back to Canelo Alvarez, again, who I call the synthetic man, Bud being the man of clay in this in this story here. And I know a lot of you fans, you're just like the Spence fans. You're just like everybody else. You guys are even doing the same things. You know, Bruce Vane was talking about this on one of his videos, but one of you in the comment sections even brought this up. You know, we're here trying to psych ourselves up. You know, there were Spence fans that were acting like they were Spence to try to defend Spence's honor, like on Twitter and things. All the little same pathetic tactics are the same pathetic tactics that are going on right now. You know, and I just don't know what to say, guys. Bud is in the prime position to once again make the boxing world look absolutely stupid. A lot of you fans, I know you're just hoping, you're hanging out and lurking in the shadows and just waiting when you can pop up again. You know what I'm saying? I see you guys too. You know, you're not lurking on me, you understand. A lot of you are kind of drawn here, and you know, on this channel, we, you know, it's lit up. You guys can't hide, little cockroaches, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Saturday night, we know what's going to happen in this fight. You guys know what's going to happen in this fight. You guys are not confident. Neither is Team Canelo. They're telling people that this is the best Canelo in 20 years and he's going to get a knockout. And today just further exemplifies the fact that they still rely on smoke and mirrors. This Tom and Jerry, no running. I don't even know how big the ring's going to be. Again, I don't know. This dude is, just like always, needs everything handed to him the way that he wants. We all saw his last performance where he didn't even try to really pursue a knockout, you know, Skull. But you guys think he's going to knock out a Terrence Bud Crawford. They're trying to do everything to once again tip the scales against a Terrence Crawford. So that, you know what I'm saying? They're not put to shame, but it's the same process. We've already seen this. This is the same episode. This is the same rerun, guys. There's nothing new to this story right now. Canelo, good, solid fighter. If the even playing field was introduced earlier in his career, it would have made him a more legit, better fighter than he is, even at his peak. You know what I'm saying? This guy always had to pull some tomfoolery with his fights. We all know this. The judging, again, you guys try to gawk this off as if it's not a valid points to bring up. Bud did not receive this treatment. We talked about early on as we were covering this fight during the saga how this dude's fighting style is even predicated on this, you know, charade, this game of charades for the most part. You guys are in the comment sections telling me that he's going to beat up Crawford's arms and shoulders and hips and Crawford's going to slow down. I'm telling you, one man had to craft his reality off of merit. The other guy did not, and you can even see it in their fighting styles. Canelo doesn't have to land clean punches to win a fight, and he's been awarded for this type of stuff from the beginning, just like I showed you in some of the film studies, guys. And Bud, it's been the exact opposite. He's had to do and pretty much overcome odds that Canelo's never had to deal with. Canelo has proven, even in his last fight against Skull, he's so entitled at this point. Again, you don't even want to put in the work to victory. You expect victory. You expect victory to be handed to you. And Bud is a guy, you know, he's learned how to take victory and to not be denied no matter what. And you're going to see these two motifs come together. It's going to make for a good night in boxing. A lot of you, you're already sore and butthurt. You know, you're already insecure. You know, you're already shook, you know. It's cool however many emoji you post in my comment section, whatever else. You're not fooling nobody, dude. You're really not. You come to this channel for a reason. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a guy who's here for clicks, views, and likes, but when I do cover and I have passion to cover something, I'm going to do that. And these results have been quite good, and I do appreciate you guys coming to this channel, taking time out of your day, again, to watch these videos. Again, I am not an active YouTuber. I've only been active just because of this this fight that we're covering. Again, it's gonna be a part of history. There's a lot of things that are going on in the boxing world, but this clearly, you got the two fighters of this past era, the two best coming together in a fight, you know. And then once this argument is settled Saturday night, hopefully boxing can go back to some of its more grassroots that got it to its best levels of success. You know what I'm saying? Where guys actually fight each other. We're not so crazy about people losing. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard lost to Duran. You know, Duran goes and he loses to Tommy Hearns. hopefully boxing can get back to that type of thing, and we're not here worried about fighters losing. We're not here having fighters like Jerron in his boots thinking this is Power TV series, doing some feminine moves that he's been doing. And Gervonta Canelo as well. You understand? Everybody does it today at this point. But again, not only does Crawford already get to say, look where I'm at and look where the rest of you are at. Again, how do you think Gary Russell Jr., a guy who didn't even qualify, you know what I'm saying, and was able to take Crawford's spot, and this is a guy, I follow all these guys' careers, to be quite honest with you, but I'm at the point now where I'm starting to forget a lot of this stuff and details. You know what I'm saying? Even during the Olympics, he cried, and he always cries and makes up excuses whenever he loses and things like that. He did the same thing back then, but again, this is blessings in disguise. You cannot stop God's work. It's just that simple. Crawford is here for a reason. I think Canelo and a lot of you guys know what time it is. The smoke and mirrors, the CG, it's just like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as it started crumbling down as well. You saw how the CG and everything else, the practical effects got worse. The box office, wasn't doing as good as anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's the same story here, guys. And hopefully I got a few videos left in me to continue this, and that's going to be pretty much it. I'm going to go back to my normal thing that I'm trying to cover. I know it doesn't get much clicks, views, and likes, but I never did this for the clicks, views, or likes to begin with. This channel started with me just wanting to make boxing highlight videos. First video that was posted on this channel was Mean Machine and versus Terrence Bud Crawford. It was pretty nice, but it immediately got blocked. You know what I'm saying? And then I made more attempts to try to make highlight films, and then it got to the point when I was getting blocked and all this other nonsense that I finally started talking boxing. So I didn't even come out here to try to really talk boxing, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to do highlight films and things like that. And again, I do appreciate you guys coming to this channel. Again, this is your time, it's not my time. You know what I'm saying? You're clicking on these videos and listening to this stuff. This will be a good life lesson for a lot of you guys. Same thing as I told the Errol Spence fans. Some of you are in puppy love, some of you, when you go through puppy love and you get your heart broken, that's actually a very good lesson for you guys to learn. I had to go through it myself with Mike Tyson, you know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson was the guy that really got me very interested in the sport of boxing. And then you had the Roy Joneses and everybody else. And, this is a process, especially if you're a boxing fan, that many people go through, especially when you got to see your heroes fall. It's devastating, but it's a very good learning lesson. And we will come back later with some more videos when I do have time. Talk to you guys later. Bye.